Standard Bank has an Africa-wide business. It's 20% held by China's ICBC. Market cap here, 226 billion rand. Do you want to add before I call the PE?
Nope. Price to earnings ratio 9.85. So that's Bjorn's point. This one is less expensive. It's less highly rated than the first round.
And dividend yield of just over 5%. Let's follow a similar trend and look at the Standard Bank share price. There again, this looks as though it is all the banks are coming off slightly in line with the broader market at the moment.
That was a savage collapse in 2015 through to 2016 though. That was because then they also had losses of that aluminium trading problem in China. They had that 300 million rand loss from credit card fraud in Japan.
Obviously Nenegate impacted that as well.
Big Nenegate impacted the tail end of 2015 and recovering though quite nicely since then.
So interesting model. Results were out recently. I spoke to Ben Kruger. Of course, you've got a joint CEO scenario, Sim Shabalala and Ben Kruger. What really hits home for you about the Standard Bank operation at the moment?
So Standard Bank has traditionally been they've been the pioneers into Africa, and they've really had the Africa focus. They were sort of the big four banks, the ones who were really driving into Africa. And I think 2 years ago, everyone wanted a piece of Africa, and EMs were really sort of the flavor of that time. More recently, not so much. I think with the global macro, we're seeing a flight away from EMs, and I think
commodity fallout obviously has hit the economic environment in Africa hugely.
Correct. So that. For me, I think that might be in the base. We might still see some pain to come. But there might be an opportunity there because they have started to establish that infrastructure and that footprint into Africa. Once Africa, and I do think Africa will become attractive again, once that turns around, I think Standard Bank becomes the go-to bank. Just to touch again on the technology aspect that we spoke about. This is, speaking about the banks, banks are very oligopolistic. And traditionally, they've kind of been defensive when it comes to market disruption. Obviously, with technology becoming more and more prevalent, infrastructure can become expensive. So if you do have a wide branch network or something that can weigh on your earnings and weigh on your capex. And obviously, we're seeing kind of digital banks. We spoke about Discovery. Will Discovery even have a branch network? We're not sure. So the technology aspect of it really does make the barriers to entry a lot lower.
That's an interesting observation.
It is. And why did you choose First Rand over any of the other banking stocks when you decided to include a banking element into hot stocks?
Technology focus and the fact that it has led with digital product, that it's pushing people out of the branches, that it's re-engineering the branches in order to try and get people to use their mobile apps, changing the way the branches work so that you don't even get into a secure access point where the tellers are unless you absolutely need to go there.
But if that's the sole premise for buying in, you should have gone Capitec.
It's millennial financial services activity.
You don't think that Capitec actually leads the charge in that space?
Well, Capitec, we'll talk about it in a little bit. I have never had any experience of Capitec, and I've always thought Capitec was slightly hard charging and rather expensive.
Anyway, we are talking about Standard Bank.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'm of the view that Standard Bank,
there.
I think it's great that they've scaled back their international ambitions. At one point it looked like they were going to be a world first tier operation, but they've exited lots of those, sold those businesses to ICBC. They're out of London, which was a big capital drag, that development marketing team.
But again, you're looking at something similar to what happened to Old Mutual, that a lot of their international aspirations amounted to capital misallocation that they've had to retrace on. Is that an unfair criticism, Bjorn?
I don't think it's unfair at all. I think, I think that it was, as you said, the correct choice to make at the time when Africa was very attractive. And I think, the jury's still out. I think it's yet to be seen how the Africa story plays out.
I'm afraid I'm going to go not hot, even though Ben Kruger's a friend of mine, and it's just the current environment looks quite demanding, and there are risks.
You don't have to justify it, just call it not hot. I'm sure Ben will survive, hot or not.
Yes, this is true.
Not hot.